Welcome to Later the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's discuss Night Ranger's 1983 album Midnight Madness. I've been on a little bit of a sort of melodic mid-80s hard rock heavy metal kick ever since I did my Twisted Sister Stay Hungry video. It got me listening to some of these bands, and as I've mentioned before, this was an important era for me. I was in high school at this time, so I was hearing this stuff on the radio, and especially on MTV. And I think that Night Ranger is a really interesting band because I certainly wouldn't call them a heavy metal band, but they kind of got in on that whole LA melodic, Rat and Dawkins. They were sort of able to get in on that scene a little bit. But they came enough before it. This is actually their second album, which came out in 1983. They were able to sort of get started enough before it to sort of establish an identity outside of the whole LA scene, even though they weren't from that Hollywood scene anyways. But they were able to get themselves sort of established before that whole thing blew up. So even though as the 80s went on, they started teasing their hair and stuff like that, they never really bought into the whole LA image thing that a lot of other bands did at the time. And I think that in a lot of ways that they were able to benefit from that era and sort of associate themselves with it, but they also always remained a little bit outside it, that I think has done their career well. And again, I wouldn't consider them a metal band, but I certainly see how there's aspects of Night Ranger that would appeal to metalheads of that era, metalheads like me at that time, teenage metalheads. Well, for one thing, it's the guitarists in the band, Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson. Brad Gillis had just come out of a stint with Ozzy Osbourne, where he recorded the live album Speak of the Devil, all Black Sabbath covers on it. And Brad has this unique sort of whammy bar guitar style. The extreme whammy bar stuff was sort of started by Eddie Van Halen, but Brad kind of takes it and makes his own thing with it, and he gets really melodic with it, as well as doing like sort of effect type things with it. Jeff Watson, he had this 8-finger technique where he would use his right hand to tap out all these extra notes. Again, something started by Eddie that Jeff takes it to another extreme, and I think the two of them complement each other really well. Plus, they have great guitar sounds, and I always loved Brad Gillis's guitar sound, and it's kind of like a metal-ish type guitar sound. So you could see those two players and their sound sort of adds a little bit of that element to Night Ranger. But for me, they're really just a great melodic, let's say pop hard rock band. They have a lot of great songs, a lot of great hooks. They had stuff played on the radio, stuff all over MTV. So really, for me, they go way beyond what was going on in that LA scene in a lot of ways. The band, you've got Jack Blades on bass and vocals, and Jack has a great sort of clean tenor type voice. And also on lead vocals, you have Kelly Keagy on drums and lead vocals, and Kelly has more of a rougher sort of baritone type voice, and I think that added really, they worked really well together, sort of like the guitar team of Jeff and Brad. They had different styles that complemented each other. It's the same thing with the vocals here. I think that they're different, but they complement each other, and they have a lot of great harmonies and stuff, very like Journey-like, maybe with their harmony approach. And you have Alan Fitzgerald on keyboards. It's I wouldn't say it's a super heavy keyboard thing on here. There's sort of a balance between the guitars and the keyboards. There's times where the keyboards kind of carry the riff a little bit, and there's other times where it's mostly like guitar stuff. So it's a nice mixture, and I've said before that I'm sort of a fan of those 80s style keyboards, and you do get a lot of that on here. And who did I miss? Alan Fitzgerald on keyboards, and yeah, I got everybody. The album was produced by Pat Glasser, and the production is pretty good. It sounds like an early 80s type record. It's pretty clean, works for radio and stuff. Maybe if you listen to it now compared to stuff out now, it's a little bit thin, but it works for its time, and I don't think it's so super dated, like washed out in reverb or anything like that, that it ruins the experience. So Okay, so the album starts with You Can Still Rock in America. And this is a good example of heavy guitars in this, lots of guitar solos in this. It's a pretty driving song. You know, it's a super catchy type of chorus. Yeah, the other thing with Night Ranger is that they avoided some of the heavy metal lyric trappings. It's sort of, they kept them away from that kind of like, either bathroom humor type stuff or Dracula and castles types. As much as I love that kind of stuff, I think that Night Ranger was going for something a little bit different, and it works for them. Rumors in the Air, melodic AOR rocker. Again, I'm a sucker for these sort of well-written 3.5, 4 minute long songs. But if you dig a little deeper, you hear the guitars are doing some pretty cool things. There's a nice little keyboard stuff in this song and throughout the whole album. Why Does Love Have to Change is a fun melodic one. And then the big one from this record, Sister Christian, right? This was probably the song that really broke them big. It got played like crazy all over MTV. Everybody now remembers it from the Boogie Nights movie, this scene when they're over the drug dealer's house and that's playing in the background. And a song that totally, harkens you back to the 80s. It was a perfect song to pick, for that movie, like an early 80s scene. And I have a funny story about Sister Christian. When I was in 8th grade, this song was really popular, and we were having some sort of end of the year dance or something like that, and and it was going to be like the theme song for the dance. And some of the girls in our class suggested to, and I went to a Catholic school. I should have thrown that in there. They mentioned, oh, this song's Sister Christian. So, of course, the nuns thought that, oh, Sister Christian, boy, that sounds like a really nice song and everything. And then I guess they went home and somebody borrowed the cassette tape or something from somebody, and they huddled around and decided that, oh, this isn't what we thought it was going to be. They were sort of fooled for it. It almost snuck through because they thought, the Christian part of it was something to do with, the Catholic school or something. So it almost slipped through. And I think they might have let it go. I can't remember now. I think we also might have had to pick something else. So anybody out there that went to elementary school with me, let me know if you remember that story in the comments. So, but it's just a great, super well written song. So catchy, so well done. The piano part at the beginning is iconic and so memorable. The guitar solo in it is just fantastic. A great example of, is it like a technical solo? No, but it's super melodic. What he does with the whammy bar, this is a tremolo arm. This is what I'm talking about with Brad, where he was able to use this in a very melodic way, whereas people before this were using it just more as like a gimmicky trick type thing. But he actually used it in a very melodic way, and that is just a fantastic, great guitar solo. So a great, well-written, melodic hard rock song. When it comes on the radio, you turn it up when that chorus comes up, motorin'. I mean, come on, everybody sings along with that, right? It's just great. All right, and then side 2, Touch of Madness. That's fun. Again, they're all melodic hard rock songs here. Passion play, fun, nice keyboards in this. When You Close Your Eyes, this is another one that I really, really like. I love the video for this. I love the whole kind of like the whole lyric sentiment of it. When you close your eyes, do you still dream about me? And sort of remembering like all those high school days. I remember when you learned about love in the back of a Chevrolet. It seems so good to be young. It felt so good to be young. It feels like yesterday. This sort of looking back and remembering high school and first loves and stuff like that. And it's just a super catchy song, man. And the playing in it is great. Again, great guitar soloing, great harmonies and everything. Fantastic written song. Chipping Away, fun rocker. And then Let Him Run is kind of a nice sort of gentle ballad that takes out the album. And this is, I guess, something, I just saw an interview with Jack Blades, and he talks about how they sort of got pigeonholed into the ballad thing after Sister Christian was a big hit, and they kept getting pressured from the label, do more ballads, when they were really, they were really a rock band, a melodic hard rock band. They weren't about just doing ballads. But all right, so there you go. A fun album. It brings back good memories for me. Brings me back to high school and elementary school. school there with Sister Christian, and great playing on it. Again, you know, I love listening to Brad Gillis. I think in some ways he's a little, I want to say he's underrated, but they don't get talked about a lot when you talk about great guitar duos of the 80s. And to me, Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson are right up there with the best of them. Really unique styles. Great band, great songwriters. So let me know down in the comments down below, what do you guys think of Night Ranger, Midnight Madness? Everybody's heard Sister Christian, right? So you at least know them from that. So let me know down in the comments down below what you guys think of Night Ranger. Until we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal. And remember, you can still rock in America.